Today I'm going to talk about the Leica M3. It's this camera over here. It is the first ever Leica M-mount camera that they made. The original model came out in 1954. This particular Leica M3 is from 1955. It's one of the earlier batches. If you notice closely, you will see that there is no frameline selector. Later models of the M3 added the frameline selector like you see now on all Leica M cameras. And the Leica M3 is a very important camera in the Leica history. It is their first M camera, as I mentioned earlier. Now the Leica M3 is arguably the best built Leica there is. I've had the M6, I've had the MP even, and this M3 feels better than both of those cameras. So because this is an older version of the Leica M3, this is a double stroke. Newer versions of the M3 starting from I think 1957 had single strokes, which you see on all Leica film M's now, but this has two strokes. I think at the time they made it like this so it wouldn't rip the film as you were advancing it. For all intents and purposes, this is a very bare bones camera. It only goes up to 1/1000th of a second, doesn't have a hot shoe. Shooting this camera with flash can be a pain in the ass because you have to have these little adapters here and you have to plug them in, and without them, you can't use flash. Fully mechanical camera, no light meter. And while some people might be put off by that, I actually prefer a Leica M with no light meter. As I mentioned earlier, I've had the M6, I've had the MP even, but I found myself getting really distracted with the meter. Looking through the viewfinder window and focusing on the light meter arrows, telling you whether it's underexposed or overexposed, or if you're just right, I found myself distracted and missing a lot of shots. So shooting on the M3 has made me worry a lot less about nailing my exposure. I typically will get a reading of a scene with an external light meter, and if it's pretty even lighting, I keep it there. And if I jump into the shade, I'll adjust by maybe 2 stops. Or if it's really drastic, I'll maybe go to 3 or 4 stops. And so far, my shooting experience with the Leica M3 has been really great. Now, the reason why it's called a Leica M3 is because of the 3 frame lines. 50 is the widest, and then you have 90 and 135. If you're an M6 shooter, particularly the older M6s, not the newer reissue ones where they have the MP finders, you'll notice that the M6 finder actually has a lot of flare if you're shooting into direct sunlight or in a direct sunlight situation, and that can get annoying when you're trying to nail critical focus. With the Leica M3, you don't have that issue at all. The viewfinder is super clear, the rangefinder is big, and if you're a 50mm shooter, this is probably the best option you have out there. It's got a 0.92 magnification, so while on an M6, depending on if you have the 0.72 or the 0.85 magnification, your widest frame line will either be 35 or 28. So on an M3, the widest frame line is a 50, which means almost the entire viewfinder is your 50mm frame line. If you want to shoot 35, you can. You kind of just use the whole window, and I think 35 is maybe a little bit wider than that, so you just guesstimate. I've even shot 28 on this, and what I do is I just put my subject where I want it to be, and I picture that as like the center of the frame, with everything else being, you know, not viewable on the viewfinder, and it's worked out fine. I also have an external viewfinder if I do want to focus on composition. Now, like I said, the M3 pairs perfectly with a 50mm lens. It's a perfect combination, M3 with a 50mm. And if you're a photographer who likes shooting longer focal lengths, this camera is perfect for you. I also really like that it has a self-timer, because if you don't have a tripod or if you don't have a shutter release cable, you can still shoot super slow shutters by setting it on a table or something flat and using the self-timer. I've shot a few night shots using this method. Now, to load the Leica M3 is a little bit different than loading your M4s, M6s, MPs, M4Ps, whatever. You have a take-up spool. It's not the rapid spool that you see on the M4s, M4Ps, M6s, I think M5s and MPs. This is a take-up spool, which some people don't like because it's a slower process, but honestly, I prefer it because I think this is a more secure way of loading your film. Once you slide the film in and once you pop it into the camera, you know the film is going to catch every single time. By the way, this film pouch is from a company here in the Philippines called Kuero Krafts. They're a leather goods company. I've spoken about them very briefly in the past, but they make leather goods for cameras, camera bags, film pouches. This is for 35mm film. I have one for 120, I believe, here. And this bag is also from Kuero Krafts. So let's load the M3. So you can't see it, but there's an arrow here, and you basically just slide the film in until all the arrow is covered. Pop the back open, pull the film, slide the film in. Close it. Close the bottom plate. And what I like to do, I like to pull up this rewind lever and spin it until it becomes tight, and then I advance. There we go. Fire off one shot, and your next shot is your burn frame. If you shoot it this way, most of the time you'll get 39 shots in a roll. I've shot the M3 for a while now, and all of my film scans have come back with 38 or 39 pictures. M3s are also now considered budget Leicas, if you will, if you're looking to get into the Leica M ecosystem. M6s are still anywhere from $2,800 to $3,000 or $3,500 if it's in good condition, and then if you're buying the reissue one, they can get anywhere from like $3,500 up to $4,500. With the M3, you can find a lot of them for sub $2,000. Again, in my opinion, this is probably the best feeling Leica M film body there is, and the shooting experience with this M3 has just been phenomenal. I recently got this camera CLA'd by a camera technician here in Manila, Philippines, named Malubay. So if you guys are in the Philippines and in the photography community, I'm sure you've already heard of him, but if you haven't, definitely send your cameras to him to repair, because he is the best. He worked his magic, and this camera feels like a brand new camera. This camera is from 1955. It's now 2025. It's 70 years old, and it runs so smooth. I honestly think nothing really beats a fully CLA'd M3. There's nothing as smooth, nothing that feels as good. It just feels different in the hand. So if you're a 50mm shooter, or even a 35mm shooter, or a 28 and use an external finder, and you're looking to get into the Leica ecosystem, definitely check out the M3.